Hey boys and girls, it's Mrs. Daly. I'm coming on to do our math lesson for today. So in math, a couple months ago we talked about place value, and I just wanted to come back and kind of review that while you're at home. So I made an anchor chart to go over our place value. We're going to practice using our blocks, and then we'll do our lesson together. So if you want, you can pause it and get your computer or your iPad or your tablet and work on your lesson on the unique program while we do it together. Or you can just watch the video and then later you can practice the unique problem on your unique problems on your own. Either one is fine with me. Whatever works best for you guys. So let's review place value. So in class, we use our little blue cubes or units to talk about our ones place. So if you were to have 3 units or cubes, then you know that you can count these and they're each worth 1. So we can count them by ones. So 1, 2, 3. That means I have 3 units or the number 3. Okay? Now for tens, we know that this green rod makes up 110 because if you were to count each of these units, or if you were to line up your blue units with this green rod, 10 of them would make 1 rod. Okay? So when we have rods, then we know we can count by tens. So I'm just going to pick up a handful so we can practice counting by tens because we've been getting really good at counting by tens. So 10, 20, 30, 40. If I have 4 rods, then my number is 40. Okay? So we have our units, which equal 1, and we have our rods, which equal 10. So down here, I drew a place value chart for us to practice. So in this place value chart, I have 2 tens. So if I count by tens, then that is 10, 20, which would be 2. So I put my number 2. And then I can count my units by 1. So 1, 2, 3 units. This number would be 23. Okay? So that's just kind of a review of what we talked about with place value in class. So what I did was I drew my own place value chart to use for our numbers on our unique program. Now you can do this your own. You can make your own place value chart, or you can just use the one on your unique program. Either one is fine. Miss Daly did it this way so that it would be bigger so you guys could see it. Okay? So let's see. We're going to go over our first problem on the unique program. So let me zoom it in so you can see it a little bit better. So what we're going to do is Miss Daly's going to read it and then we're going to work it out together. So Emily hears 18 trumpets. She wants to know how many tens and how many ones are in the number 18. So the very first thing I'm going to do is on my place value chart, I'm going to write the number 18. Because that will help me know how many rods and how many units I need. So 18, I know I can only have 1 digit in each box. So 1 and an 8 gives me the number 18, okay? So now I can look and see my tens place is how many rods I need. So how many rods do I need for this number? Yeah, 1. I only have 1 10. So 1 rod, and then I can count how many units do I need on the one side. Yeah, I need 8 units. So these are kind of hard to hold up, but we're going to do it together. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 units. And I like how we waited until Miss Daly dropped the cube to say the number because we don't want to mix up our numbers by counting too fast. So for this number 18, I have 1 10, 10, and then I have 8, I have 8 units, okay? So that makes my number 18. So if you look on your computer, on your program, you will see these blue and orange units and rods. So your job is to move your units and rods to match your number that you made. So we know we need 1 rod, so we can move the 1 rod down, and we need 8 units. So we're going to count to 8 again, and remember, we're going to count slow, 1 at a time, to make sure we don't mix up our numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you could hear it ding because we got our number correct. So as we were counting and moving our rods and our units, the counter on the bottom was counting to make sure we made the right number, and it made a ding sound to tell us we got it. So your last job on this page is to look one more time at your chart and see how many 10s did you have and type that number in. So on our chart we had 1 10, so I'm going to type the number 1, and it dinged to tell me I was right. And then we had how many 1s? We have 8 1s, so I'm going to type that number in, and it dinged. So we got that one right. So we're going to move on and do 2 more for practice. And then later today, you can practice on your own. Tomorrow we'll review the 10s and 1s again, and then we'll add in our hundreds place, okay? So here's our next number, and let me erase my hundreds chart, or I'm sorry, my place value chart, so that I can get ready for my next number. We're making it work at home. It's taking Miss Daly a little bit. Whoa! Okay, Chris has 76 guitars. He wants to know how many 10s and how many 1s are in the number 76. So my very first step is to write my number into my place value chart. So 76, if I were to count by 10s to 70, I can use my rods, but let's count by 10s, ready? Until we get to 70. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Oh, how many rods do I need? How many go in my 10s place? Well, I counted to 70, and that means I have 7 10s. So I'm going to write my number 7. Whoops. And then my number was 76. So 6 goes in my 1s place for my units. Wonky 6. Alright, 76. So the first thing I did was I got my number into my place value chart. The second thing I'm going to do is count out my rods and units to see how many I need to make this number. So in my rods, my 10s place, I need 7. So I'm going to count out by 10, 7 or 70 rods. So here we go. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. 70 or 7 10s for the 10s place. And then how many 1s do I need? Yeah, I need 6. So let's count these together. These are a little small, so you're going to have to look really closely. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? So I have 76 for my number using my place value. So let's look at our computer, and we're going to do the same thing that Miss Daly just did with her place value blocks, but we're going to use the computer to do it. So we need 7 10s, so I'm going to move 7 rods down. Now remember, when we count, we need to go slow so we don't get mixed up when we're not touching and counting. So here we go together. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay? And if you look down here really close, it's kind of hard to see. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. It's counting for me, and I have 7 or 70 10s. Okay? So then my next number that I need, my units, are how many? My number is 76. I need 6 1s or 60 units. Okay? So we're going to remember touch and count at the same time together. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And it dinged because we have the number 76. Okay? So your last job on this page is to count how many 10s. Well, we know that because we wrote it in our chart. So how many 10s do I have? 7. Very good. So I'm going to type my number 7. And it dinged. And then how many 1s do I have? If I counted by 1s, I would have 6 1s. So I'm I'm going to type that number in. Whoops. And it dinged. So we did that problem right. Great job. All right, we're going to do one more together. Okay. And let me erase my chart. Now remember, we have 2 steps to this. Well, actually, we have 3 steps because we're practicing our typing our numbers too. So the first step is to put it into our chart. The second step is to figure out how many place value blocks I need. And then the third step is to type our numbers in, okay? So let's read our problem together and then we'll work it out. Emily hears 49 violins. She wants to know how many 10s and how many 1s are in the number 49. So first step, what do? Yeah, I put it into my chart. So my number is 49. 49. Now, if I don't know how many's in 40, I know that I can count by 10s. So let's count by 10s until we hear the number 40 and then we'll stop, okay? 10, 20, 30, 40. Oh, 40. I got to 40, so I stopped. And how many 10s is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 10s. So I'm going to put my 4 in the 10s place for 49. Well, 9 goes in my 1s place, so I'm going to write the number 9. So how do I read this? 49. All right, so we got our number into our place value chart. That was our first step. Our second step is to figure out how many place value blocks we need. So for 10s, I use my rods, and I need to count by 10s to get to 40. So it's the same thing we did on our fingers. We're just going to use our place value blocks. So 10, 20, 30, and 40. So I have 4 rods to make my number 49. I have 4 rods. And then how many 1s do I need? How many units? Yeah, I checked my chart and it says I need 9 1s. So these are a little small, so we're going to work together. And remember, when we count, we need to make sure we're waiting till we put the unit down to count the number, because we don't want to count too fast and miss one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay, so I have 4 or 40 10s and I have 9 1s. So this number is 49. All right, we got our blocks, so let's check our unit on the computer. And we are going to do the same thing Miss Daly did with her blocks, but we're going to do them on the computer. So how many units do I need? How many rods do I need? How many rods do I need? How many 10s? 4. Ready? 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so I have my 4. And remember, if you're checking as you're going, it's counting for you. So I want to make sure that I only did the 10s, so I should have 40, and that's what it says. So after the 10s, I do my 1s, and in this number, it's 49, so I need 9 1s. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And it dinged, so I got it right. All right, your last job is always to make sure we practice our typing numbers. So we have how many units or how many, I'm sorry, Miss Daly keeps mixing them up. How many rods do we have? How many 10s? We have 4. So I'm going to practice typing the number 4. And then how many 1s do we have? 9. Very good. Now in this problem, we have 9 units. But if we had 1 more unit, that would mean we would have 10. And if we had 10, that would be a whole rod. So we would move them over and start with 5 10s and 0 1s. But we're not quite there yet, so we'll keep working on that. All right, boys and girls, you did a great job with math today. Make sure you go onto your unique system and practice these problems using the blocks. And tomorrow we will start with a review of 10s and 1s. We'll do one more problem like this, and then we'll introduce our hundreds place or our flats to talk about hundreds tomorrow, okay? Keep doing a great job at home. See you later. Bye.